progress on how I use the flap while I'm flying. So right now I'm cruising at 65, nearly 70 knots. Let's put the nose down. We've got two negative flaps which are for our high speed runs, and I'm currently in -1 flap. So what I often do, we basically use this like a trim. If I want to go faster, I will ease the nose down a little, but also move the flap forward. And I'll often leave it floating between -1 and -2 when I'm going about 80 or 90 knots. Now here we are, we're about to come under this cloud here, so I'm going to want to slow down. Now to do that, I'm going to ease back on the stick. It takes a while for the speed to bleed off, and then I start easing the stick back, the flap back I mean. And as I come into a thermal, so I'm now in +1 flap, so going 40 knots, which is a bit slow, so we'll just speed up there a little. I think the lift will be on the other side of this, so we'll just get through it before we slow down too much. So it's now in 0 flap, which is neutral flap, which is good for 60 knots. I'm basically going by how much pressure is on the flap, so if there's no pressure, you've probably got it in the sweet spot. Here we go, I'm going to slow down a bit. There's a bit of lift here. Slowing down, slowing down. I'm bringing it into a turn, and I'm easing it back into +2 for my thermaling flap. Nearly stalled then from the gust from the thermal, so it's a good thermal. So my +2 flap, I'll be 45 to 50 knots in, and that climbs pretty well. And up we go. So the trick is to bring the speed back before you try and bring it into the positive flaps. And when you're going the other way and you want to speed up, we'll show you that once we get to the top of this cloud. Up we go, climbing through 5, 6. So here for thermaling, I'm using this Samsung tablet here, which gives me a nice view of my thermal, and then I can leave my main computer on a overall view. So we're getting a good 4.5, 5 knot climb there. You want to bring your speed back as much as you can, because then your circle's smaller. And it's great having a view like this, because it really shows you how big your circle is, or if you've made it bigger. Right, that feels like the top of the thermal, so I'm going to ease out of it. So to do that, I'm going to leave the stick where it is pretty much and start easing the flap forward. And notice I'm now speeding up, but the attitude of the nose has not changed much at all. So that's perfect. So now I'm in -1 flap, which is good for 80 knots or so. And as we come out of the thermal here, I want to make sure I've got plenty of speed on so I'm not in the sink. And again, I'll just ease that out of the flap setting, the notches, so it can float, and I'll just rest my fingertips on it so I can feel where it's at. Make sure it's flying well. Alright, so there's a little intro to flaps. If you've got any questions, fire them below.